What's up, guys? I'm Robbie, and I'm going to do my season predictions for the Dallas Cowboys. I believe this team will finish with around the same record they have the past 3 years, right? 10-7, 12-5, somewhere around there. But we're going to go game by game, really go in depth into each of the 17 games that they have this year. Let's just get right into it. So week 1, it's the Cleveland Browns, 325 Fox. Tom Brady's first game. I think this is going to be a very low-scoring game. It's going to be a game where both teams, struggle to really get it going on offense. The Cowboys did get CeeDee Lamb back, but really, it's more about the Browns' defense than it is about the Cowboys' offense. That Browns' defense is elite from top to bottom, right? You look at the defensive line, you look at the linebackers, right? You look at the secondary, right? They got playmakers everywhere. They got guys on that defense. But so does Dallas, right? So Dallas, they're coming with a new defensive scheme. They're coming with a new defense, really, in general, right? Mike Zimmer isn't Dan Quinn in any way. They're completely different. Mike Zimmer's going to use Micah more as a chess piece, whereas Dan Quinn knew that he could move Micah anywhere. He really just kept him on the edge. I think this is going to be a game where if the offense is going, I really don't see the Browns winning a track race with the Cowboys, right? Because I'm not confident in Deshaun Watson. They're not going to have Nick Chubb. It's going to be Amari Cooper and then Jerry Jeudy and Elijah Moore. So, they obviously still have Njoku, but I'm a lot more confident in the Cowboys offense than I am in the Browns offense. So I'm actually going to give this game to the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's going to be low scoring. I'm going to go 20-16 Cowboys win, 1-0 to start the season. Then they come at home opener, 12 p.m. against the New Orleans Saints. I don't really think there's much to say about this. I think this is just going to be Cowboys get in, get out with the win, 2-0. The Saints, they have a little bit of talent, I guess, but they don't match up with Dallas well at all, right? Derek Carr still that quarterback. I think he's going to have a really hard time. Obviously, no more Michael Thomas there, but really get Chris Olave, take care of their running game. Their defense isn't, it's not terrible, but this is not a team that should be able to compete with Dallas Cowboys in 2023, so I'm going to give the Cowboys 2-0. The Saints score, I'm going to give 34-17 Dallas, 2-0 to start the year. Fairly confident in both of these games that the Dallas Cowboys will win and start 2-0. Then they stay at home, 325 against the Baltimore Ravens in week 3. It's going to be another game of the week. I think this is... the Cowboys haven't lost a regular season home game since 2022. This is going to be a very tough game, and it's very hard for me to pick the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. I understand that the Cowboys don't lose at home, well, at least they didn't before the playoff game. But the Ravens, I just feel like the play calling for Mike McCarthy, right? I've seen it, really it started with Kellen Moore, but Mike McCarthy last year, if it was raining or if it was a big game, it just felt like he had a hard time calling plays for the offense. And I think that this is the game where the Cowboys will start off slow. They'll just get it going too late against the Ravens. I think the Ravens are just very talented. I believe it'll be very hard to stop Henry and Lamar. Right? We know the Cowboys have had a hard time stopping the run, but it might not be great for the run defense in week 3. I'm going to give this one to the Ravens. It's going to be 28-17 Baltimore. 2-1 to start the 2023 season. Then they go on a 2-game stretch right here, right? Both on the road. Both primetime games. It's at New York for the Giants, and it's at Pittsburgh. New York, Dak doesn't lose to the Giants, right? So you could stop right there, right? He hasn't lost to the Giants since 2016. The Giants are clearly below the Cowboys in talent, coaching, offense, defense, special teams. I feel like Giants just aren't there yet, right? They have a very good defensive line. They have the pieces to build something. It's not ready now, but I believe the Cowboys will go 3-0 or 3-1. I'm going to go 31-7. 31-7. Cowboys beat the Giants. They're 3-1. Then they go to Pittsburgh. So now how many years in a row have the Cowboys lost a game that they have no business losing? It was the Cardinals game last year, right? You could say the Green Bay game. It was pretty clearly the Cardinals game last year, right? And I think this is one of those games. They're going to have a stinker every year, right? So it was Arizona 2023. It was, right, the game that obviously comes to mind is the Broncos back 2021. 2022, obviously, they had a huge scare against Houston. They lost to Jacksonville. I think this will be that game. I think it'll be a lot like the Browns game. A lot hard-fought, good defense, right? In 20-17, the Steelers eke it out. Hopefully I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong on this, but I don't know. This is more of a gut pick than it is reasoning. I just don't have a good feeling about the Steelers game. It's on prime time. 2 historic franchises going at it. Cowboys don't normally win those games. Then they come back home. Another pretty difficult game It's Detroit Lions in week 6. So right now the Dallas Cowboys are 3-2. They really need to win. This is going to be another game of the week, right? I expect the Lions to be 3-2, 4-1. Lions fans have been complaining all year about that call that was made. We're in September, and they're still complaining. So besides the point, but I think the Dallas Cowboys do win this game, right? They're at home, so I immediately love Dallas in any home game, other than that Ravens game, obviously. But I do love Dallas. I love their odds in any home game. I believe they have the matchup for Amon-Ra. I believe that Jared Goff does not work unless the circumstances around him are perfect. If there's anything that goes wrong, Jared Goff cannot fight through it. This is a win for Dallas. That pressure will get to Goff, even though I know the Lions got a great offensive line. But those corners aren't necessarily proven, right? They got Carlton Davis. They got Terry and Arnold. Show me that you can guard CeeDee Lamb. Nobody in the NFL can guard CeeDee Lamb. So, Cowboys 4-2. I believe this will be more of a high-scoring game. I'm going to go 28-31 Dallas. So 4-2 at the bye. They need it because it's Sunday Night Football, October 27th. The San Francisco 49ers come to town. I can't stand it. I cannot stand that we have to play the 49ers in Santa Clara again. I don't see how the Cowboys win this game. San Francisco has just mentally taken a toll on them. They've beaten them past three times. Pretty, in embarrassing fashion, at least all 3 times. Right, you remember 2021 wild card. Dak slides. Can't get the snap off. 2022. Dak played probably the worst game of his life. And then they put Zeke center on the last play. And then obviously Sunday Night Football last season, embarrassing. It was also probably one of Dak's worst games. So I can't pick Dallas in week 8 to beat the 49ers this year. I really can't even see it being that close. This is just not a team that can beat the 49ers. I think at this point it is mental, some of it. They just can't do it. Unless the 49ers are dealing with some major injuries at receiver and on defense, I just don't see the Cowboys winning this game. So I'm going to give this one 34-17. 49ers 4-3 coming into week 9. Now this will be a tough game as they play Atlanta at 12 p.m. Obviously Kirk Cousins. That offense is no joke. Kirk Cousins, Bijan, Drake London, who I expect to be really good this year, and Kyle Pitts, who just needs the ball, which I think he will get this year. Now, you look at the offensive side of the ball, you look at those playmakers, right? They have a good enough offensive line. That defensive side of the ball is scary. I don't really know who's generating the pressure for the Falcons in 2024. I don't imagine that with our offensive line it'll be an issue at all. Outside of AJ Terrell, I don't really like their corners. Now their safeties, Bates and Simmons, it's no joke. Those corners I don't really trust. Don't really like the linebackers. I think this is another higher scoring game. I think Dallas handles Atlanta. I think Dallas is better at Atlanta than Atlanta. We're going to go 28-22 Dallas. Beats Atlanta 5-2 going into week 10. Or 5-3 coming into week 10. Week 10, a home game. They come back home after their 2-game road stand. They come back home and they play the Philadelphia Eagles at 3:25 on CBS. Cowboys Eagles on CBS just feels odd. But at home, 3:25. Okay, so here's the situation with Philadelphia Eagles. They are a talented football team. They've got the star guys, right, top to bottom. That team's good. Their linebackers are not good. I don't like their defense at all, actually. They got some guys on that defense. They don't have a lot of depth on that defense. Kellen Moore is obviously the offensive coordinator in Philly. And with Kellen Moore, I was talking with a friend yesterday. There's a cap when Kellen Moore is your offensive coordinator. Remember 2021. Kellen Moore was shut out against the Denver Broncos for a majority of the game. They ended up getting 2 touchdowns. 30-16 was the final score of that game. It was 30-0 for a long time. Then they went the next week. They played the Atlanta Falcons and beat them 43-3. And then it was just meh the rest of the season. Tough teams, meh performances. So the Eagles will be able to beat up on the bad teams, just like Dallas was. Kellen Moore, I don't know what goes through his head when there's a big game, but he just loses it, right? He wasn't good with Atlanta or with the Chargers last year. He was not good at all. He was really bad, actually, watching Kellen Moore call plays and basically waste the year of Justin Herbert. Not that the team was competent around him anyways. I think the Cowboys win this game at home, and I think it's convincing that the Cowboys win this game at home. I don't like the Eagles in any way as a team or just, as a contender. I think the Cowboys win this game, especially because they're at hhome. I think this is a game that the Cowboys win by 2 scores. We're going to go 38-29 Dallas. This is a game that puts Dak in the MVP race. 6-3 coming into week 11. Stay at home Monday Night Football against the Houston Texans. There's a lot of talk about the Houston Texans. This is a good team this year. They have one of the most explosive offenses, right? They got 3 great receivers. They have a good running back. They got a good quarterback. Their defense has got a lot better. Their offensive line, they're building. Dallas 6-3 coming in this game. I expect Houston to also be in the thick of it in the AFC South with Indy. I don't really like Jacksonville this year, but they'll be there. You can't ignore them. Houston is going to need this win just like the Cowboys are going to need this win. There's going to be 2 desperate teams Monday night trying to either extend their division lead or get right back up there. I think this is another game where Dak Prescott gets on that tear, right? We saw last year that October-November Dak was elite last year. I think it happens again, right? I think that Niners game is another wake-up call for this team. And I think they stay hot after that Philly game. You get an extra day of rest. And I think they beat Houston in the same way that they beat Philly, right? High scoring. I think this is the first game of the year Dallas could put 40 up. Dallas wins. 41-32, 7-3 coming into Week 12. Here comes Dan Quinn and his Commanders. Now the Washington Commanders stole a bunch of the Cowboys' rotational guys. Stole the defensive coordinator. Washington doesn't move me. Jaden Daniels can be a great talent. He can be all that. They don't match up with Dallas. You look at that defensive line, right? There's some talent on the defensive line. Not a lot in the secondary. They don't have a great running game. Who's catching the ball outside of Terry McLaurin? They traded away Dotson. I think Dallas wins this game similar fashion that they did Week 18 last year. I believe pretty easily. We're going to go 34-10. The Dallas 8-3 coming into Thanksgiving against the New York Giants for the second time in 3 years, and for the second time in a row, they will beat the New York Giants on Thanksgiving and move to 9-3. Again, this is the same situation as Week 4. The Dallas Cowboys are just a much more talented roster from top to bottom, and I don't see in any way really that the Giants come and ruin our Thanksgiving. I think this is going to be a pretty easy win for Dallas, and I think this is, hopefully, I'm praying that this is similar to last year's Thanksgiving against Washington. I'm going to go 40-10. Dallas 9-3 coming into Week 14. So now you're watching this Dallas team, and they're coming into Week 14 riding a 5-game win streak, beating Atlanta, Philly, Houston, Washington, and New York. They're coming in Monday Night Football. They're back at home against Cincinnati, and I think this is going to be a great game. Jamar, Burrow, Dak, CD. It's going to be fun for all 4 quarters, I believe. I think Burrow and the Bengals do win this game. I think it will be neck and neck. I think it'll be a great game. It may come down to a last-second field goal from McPherson, but this is a game where it's just hard for me to see Dallas winning this game. Right? I feel like the AFC North is definitely going to give Dallas some trouble this year, with Cleveland being the only team that they beat. The AFC North is a very competitive division in 2024, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas did win 2 or maybe even 3 of these games in the AFC North, but we are going to give them the loss, I think 28-24. And now 9-4 coming in to this away game against Carolina. Again, Carolina's just not there yet. They will be sneaky, I feel like, this year. I feel like Carolina will be better than the Saints, but they won't be better than Dallas. And Dallas will handle them in similar fashion to the way they did last year. I think this is 28-10 Dallas. So Dallas 10-4 coming into this game at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Normally this is the last home game of the year. The Cowboys haven't played a Week 18 home game in a minute, but this is Baker Mayfield on primetime. This is a win for Dallas, and I think by 2 scores. I don't really like the Buccaneers this year. Rachaad White was the least efficient running back in football last year. You look at his individual rushing stats, right? Wasn't great after contact. He can't create rushing yards for himself. The Cowboys have Dak. Bucs have Baker Mayfield. This is a win for Dallas. 11-4, 31-20. Week 17 in Philly. This could very well be 2019 NFC East Championship-esque. I don't think it'll be anything like the one in 2019. They win this game. This is going to be 28-27 Dallas. 12-4 coming in to a game against Washington. I'm hoping this is a game for the 1 seed. I'm hoping San Francisco can drop a few. I view Dallas as 1A, 1B with the 49ers, right? And I know it's hard to put them on the same tier as San Francisco, considering San Francisco has owned the Dallas Cowboys the past few years. But when you look at the talent on this Cowboys team, it feels like they finally have to be able to put it together at some point. You look at all the All-Pros, you look at the talent, you look at now. I feel the coaching is very improved. I believe that this is the first NFC East repeat champion in over 20 years. I feel that they beat Washington at home by multiple scores. We're going to go 38-14 there. Dallas finishes the year 13-4. Maybe that's a little optimistic because the season is 11 days away, but I firmly believe that this Dallas team can make a run. They have the talent. They've got Dak. They've got weapons outside, right? You're going to have CD. You're going to have Tolbert. You're going to have Cooks. You're going to have Ferguson. You're going to have all that. If Beebe and Guyton are good, then you're going to have an amazing offensive line, right? And, saying if a rookie is good is obviously huge, but Guyton's shown that he's got the talent, right? He was so raw coming out of Oklahoma, and all he's done is flash that talent, right? Cooper Beebe is, I feel like, not as raw. I feel like he's very polished, even though he's learning a new position in center. He didn't even play last preseason game because he's better than Brock Hoffman. I feel like this offensive line is going to be so good. I'm so high on this offensive line, and Mike McCarthy said this is the best Terrence Steele has looked as a Dallas Cowboy, right? He's been on team since, I think, 2020. So this offensive line looks so talented. The skill guys look more than good enough for Dak Prescott. We have, in my opinion, a top 5 quarterback. Then you go flip the ball over on the defense. I feel like we have probably one of the best safety rooms in football again, right? They did underperform last year. Jaron Kearse was awful. But you look at the rest of the safeties, right? You got Malik Hooker. You got Marquise Bell, who moved up from linebacker. I don't know why Dan Quinn had him there. You go to the secondary. Bland is probably going to miss some time. He should be back for the Lions game, I feel like. At worst case scenario, he's back for the Lions game, right? You got Trayvon Diggs. Kalen Carson, hold it down over there. You got Jordan Lewis in the slot. Great run defender. Great tackler, right? Not as great in coverage, but you don't really need your nickel to be amazing in coverage. Then you get to the defensive line. Really, you can put Micah wherever you want, right? You got Eric Kendricks in that front 7-2. Great leader, right? Played with Zimmer. All the Cowboys have done since training camp is improve this defensive line, right? They signed Carl Lawson, Linval Joseph. There's talent all over, and I feel really like the Dallas Cowboys can win this division at 13-4. As for the playoffs, you never know, but so I believe the Dallas Cowboys will win 13 games this year, 13-4, 1 seed, I hope. And if this is Dak's last season, I hope he goes out with a bang. This might be my last video before the season starts. I might drop one more unrelated to the season, but that's it. That's my regular season prediction for the playoffs. Who knows what's going to happen? Just hoping for the best in 2024 for the Dallas Cowboys. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like. Thanks for watching. I'm out.